Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. During the past many months, we've been focused on this subset of OCD, HOCD, and we've been discussing it in many different videos, and I've shared with you a number of videos in the playlist Intrusive, Transient, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts, and I'm sure many of you have enjoyed this information and have benefited from it. In many, if not all of those videos, I have links of specialists, psychotherapists, clinical psychologists, Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Philipson, Dr. Jan Weiner, and many other brain scanners and therapists and researchers that are available for you to refer to and educate yourselves and to know what this whole nonsense is all about and where it stems from. But having said that, and having created all those videos, we know that in the past many years, when the world was not so informationally close knitted and all kinds of information relevant to some and irrelevant to many was not floating around, everyone's personal preferences and personal lifestyles on the public views, on television programs, on videos, advertisement, all kinds of sort of information is flowing into the inventory of the information which brain is. And the male body has been turned into a object of advertisements, and every one of these advertisements or exposures and whatnot, almost everything in this world has a representation and association with sex. And to heterosexuals, that has a connotation and association with sex with women. And the idea and the word and the concept of sex, nevertheless, is introduced with all these irrelevant informations that is being used for advertising and selling products and so on and so forth. And when that concept is, of course, is introduced, all that information is flowing into the brain, and the brain being a thought manufacturing plant, it uses that and makes thoughts, because brain doesn't have a gender, it doesn't care who you are, doesn't know who you are, it just makes thoughts as information and fragments of information from all corners and different mediums are somehow find their way into your consciousness, into your memory, into your attention, and then brain gets on with it, and then negative thoughts and negative side of the brain, and produces all kinds of irrelevant and meaningless thoughts, but occupies your mind to the point that you actually end up dealing with what you're dealing these days. HOCD. So tonight, I want to talk to you and help you to see something that you don't get from medical observations, because these are things coming from deep thinkers in our world from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and it's been available for all of us to notice. But if we haven't researched and delved into this whole business of mind and thoughts and consciousness and the inner movements of thought, inner movements of the psyche, we wouldn't be able to figure this out. We wouldn't be able to see. We will miss it, and we will be, as most of us are, being fooled with what appears in your head, thinking that what appears in your head is you. On that note, I want to bring your attention to this. Everything has a connotation of sex. Even the animal's hindquarter, or a smooth metal statue of a naked body, of anyone's body, man or woman, it has a connotation and representation, the word, the meaning, the concept of sex in there. And then, of course, you imagine, and that connotation association takes you to sex with women, which is what you have always liked and what you're all about. That has nothing to do with what it seems like. Oh, I reacted to a male body. No, you reacted to the concept of sex, which that particular body or person or piece of whatever it is that you see, an animal's butt, represents the concept of sex, which you then associate that with, and then the mind runs with it and comes up with all kinds of reactions, and the body reacts to it. It's reacting to the concept of sex. The body is not reacting to that male's body. The body is reacting to the concept, because in the brain, once the concept of sex, association with sex, the word sex comes in, it naturally goes to the gender that you are made out of, and you are reacting to the sex with women. That is what your inner programming is all about. But because the thought or picture or imagination of a male was in the picture, you bypass the actual reaction and you think it's about a reaction with the male and it's a homosexual thought. That's not the way it is. So, having said that, let's go on with what I wanted to talk to you about, because we are committed to clear your mind and make you, through knowledge and understanding your own psyche and movement of mind, movement of thought, that this what you're going through is not what you think, and it is a whole different thing. That is why, as scientists and the clinical psychologists and so on have dubbed it, it's irrelevant, it's meaningless to you, and you should focus on your life and go on about your business until this thing passes and corrects itself through your behavior, rewires your brain through neuroplasticity, and you'll get back the balanced lifestyle and the calmness of mind that you all deserve and you always enjoyed in the past. All right, I'm going to read what I have written for you, because I don't want it to have extra words in there, because I want you to totally be focused on what I'm trying to describe to you, what I'm trying to deliver to you, what I'm trying to show you. And for that reason, I've written it down, and hopefully that would be enough to clearly get the point across and bring your attention to what most people in the world don't recognize, don't have the understanding of it, and have not been exposed to this, what inwardly is important for every one of us to know about what I'm about to tell you. All right. So, the question is why HOCD is not what you may think it is. When thought of homosexuality comes to your mind, or the images that are unwanted or obscene to you comes to your mind, or the suggestions of you want or should choose sex with other males or same gender, depending on what your gender is, who is acknowledging all this in your head? Who is acknowledging the thoughts that appear in your head as I described? Who is watching what is happening in your head? When all these going on, who is acknowledging the thoughts that are appearing? Who is watching those images and the thoughts that appear in your head? Think about it. How are you alerted or witnessing such images or suggestions or thoughts? Think about it. How are you alerted or witnessing such images or suggestions or thoughts? By some awareness in you, right? Some awareness, bring your attention to what's happening, images and thoughts that is being created and popping up. Some alertness is making you notice that, right? Who is that? Who is that alertness? Who is that it is witnessing all this? Who is that acknowledging all this? Who is being alerted? Think about it. That is you witnessing a robbery. There is something happening, and there is a witness to it. Who is that witness? Somebody is acknowledging what's happening here. Who is acknowledging it? Who is being alerted? Oh, something showed up. Who is that someone who says, oh, something showed up? What is that? Who? That is you witnessing a robbery. You are the witness. You are the one who's acknowledging what's happening, these pop-up images and thoughts. Where am I getting to? Hang in there. You're witnessing an attack and is being reported to you. Something's happening here and it's an intrusion and it's being reported to you. So you become aware. You're the one who's becoming aware, who's being alerted, who's being told, running to you, say, hey, that's what's happening. Because when something like that, thoughts, suggestions happens, you're watching it. You're the watcher. Watching what's happening. Hang in there. So as you can see, the suggestions or the images are just thoughts trying to fool you or overshadow the real you, who is alerting you of what is happening, and yet you're doomed to believe the thought, the images is you. How could thought and the images that you are watching be you? You are watching something else. How could that something else be you? So as I said, and you are doomed to believe the thoughts, images is you and not the one who is informing you or alerting you of these images or thoughts or suggestions. You're the one who's being alerted. Not the pictures. Not the one who's actually what? You're the one who's being alerted. You're the one who's watching. That's you, not what's being watched. So think about it. See it for yourself. An image, and you're watching it and judging it. That's you. Not the image. The image is thought. The image is produced outside, separate from you. Because you're the one who's judging it, watching it, alerted about it, uncomfortable about it, questioning what the hell. If you're the thought, if you don't accept what I just said, if you're the thought, the images, if you're that, then who's watching the thought? Who's doing the watching? If the thought is you, then who is that you know is watching the thought? Go inwardly. The one watching the thought is you, who is being replaced by thought, and you, while knowing that thought or suggestions are not you, but standing as if you are to comply with what is not you. Why? Why are you so naive? The one watching the thought is you, who is being replaced by thought. Thought is trying to say that you who is watching me, you're not you. I am you. I am who you're watching, the thought and images, whom you're watching is you, which is me, the thought, the images. Is trying to fool you to say, you who is watching me don't exist. I am who is being watched is who you are. I am who is being watched, which is a thought and image just popped up, is you. Not the one who's watching the thought and images who have appeared, which is actually you. You're the watcher. So, the one watching the thought is you, who's being replaced by thought, and you, while knowing that thought or suggestions are not you, but standing as if you are to comply with what is not you. It's like somebody's saying something, doing something out there, and you know it's not you, but you're being, okay, then I'll do what it says. Well, what? That's not you. If you recognize the difference, you would have no problem saying, okay, they can do whatever they want to do. Thought can pop up and imaginations and images could come out. I don't care. I don't care. It's a screen, anything can, imagination, any thought can come out. Okay, let it come. But that's not me. I'm not going to be fooled by that. So follow the watcher. You see, all these that appear in your head, they're all thoughts, and you're forgetting about the you who is watching wrong to happen to you. You're forgetting about you who's watching the wrong is happening here. Images and thoughts. Follow the watcher. The watching thought is you. These things come up and you're watching from above. You're watching those images and suggestions and thoughts. The watching thought that is watching the thoughts that popped up, that's you. Not the ones that popped up, images and thoughts. Save yourself from under the rubbles and the nonsense of nothing but thoughts. These are just thoughts. Save yourself from under the rubbles of nonsense of thoughts. They're nothing but the thoughts. Don't be fooled. Understand the movement of the psyche. Understand the movement of thoughts. And you'd be able to clearly see the separation. And that you are this. Thoughts are not you. You're not thoughts. HOCD is thought. It's not you. Everything that you're watching is not you. If what you were watching was you, then you would be watching something else, as you never watch yourself. If what you were watching, those thoughts and images, was you, then you would be watching something else, as you never watch yourself. We don't watch who we are, how we are ourselves. Thoughts that are not us appear. Thoughts that it's about us and we are doesn't appear. We make those things for fun. We do that. But the ones that come up in the form of OCD, just whatever, it's not us. Otherwise, why would we be watching something that is already us? It wouldn't happen. Nothing like that ever appears. So everything that you're watching is not you. That's how the brain works. If what you were watching was you, then you would be watching something else, as you never watch yourself. As you are always looking outwardly and you are seeing the image of homosexuality outwardly. And that means these images, homosexuality, is outside of you and not inside of you. As we never look at who we are, as we are who we are, we do not need to see it. We do not see it. We are it. So anything that we see is what we are not. I read it one more time. If what you were watching was you, then you would be watching something else, as you never watch yourself. As you're always looking outwardly and you are seeing the image of homosexuality. And that means these images, the homosexuality, is outside of you and not inside of you. As we never look at who we are as we are who we are. We do not see it. We are it. So anything that we see is what we are not. When a child is holding his dad's hand and suddenly someone says, now you're my child, and your father was never your dad, and none of what he did for you counts, only this, what I say or do, is what your life is and amounts to. Is this not stupid? There was a father, there was a life, the child was living and being raised and taken care of, and the order of life, lifestyle and everything, and suddenly someone shows up, tells a child that wasn't your father, nothing that matters, whatever he did doesn't matter, you are what I say and you're all about what I say. What I say is you're all about. That's it. That's what you amount to, what I say, now, from now on. That doesn't exist. Isn't that stupid? This is a pedophile. This is a pervert trying to steal you from your life. If that is a scenario, that would be a pedophile, a pervert, trying to steal your life by trying to brainwash you that none of that existed. Are you a fool? Even a child wouldn't believe that. And so is the brain when it goes into HOCD. It's a pedophile, it's a pervert, it's trying to convince you that something that you're all about, it never existed, it doesn't exist. That's a robbery. That's a pervert. No different than a pervert as the pervert approaches you in the street and says, hey, come let me do this, do that. You say, fuck off. You know, like a better word. But I bet you that's what you'd say. Then he continues, and for a million times, and you say, fuck off. And would not be persuaded, and move on and protect yourself. Then he continues for a million times, and for a million times you say, fuck off, and would not be persuaded. Protect yourself, and you move on, and you'll protect yourself. And so is the same when thoughts suggest the same, then you need to do the same. Like what you do in the street if someone approaches you and says this, no matter what age you are. Isn't that true? That's what we do, right? So recognize, this is what you do. You recognize and ignore and move on and protect yourself even if it insists a million times. Whether it's someone in the street when you were a kid or now, whether it's the thought, it's all suggestions from outside, and you do the same as you did in the scenario that I mentioned. You will recognize, call it for what it is, a pedophile, pervert, intrusive, and ignore, and move on and protect yourself even if it insists a million times. That's the power of your mind, and it's all yours, and you can use it to get yourself out of this nonsense and clear your head about what you are and how you've always been, how you'll always be, because gender doesn't change. As I said before, you're not cow's milk. You're not milk one day, and the next day buttermilk, and later on maybe yogurt, and then you change to cheese. That's not how gender works. However you were created in the womb of your mother, that's how it's going to be. Whatever your gender is you were born as, that's how it's going to be forever. And that doesn't have a time fuse that kicks in later, kicks in that. No, that's all, as we talked about, thoughts. Don't be fooled. You're no fool. Protect yourself, and the power is yours. I'll talk to you soon.